week, another episode. Here we go with another video that should help some people, especially people who are new to fantasy. This is tips that will help you be competitive in fantasy sports. It's in no particular order, of course. Thanks for watching my other videos if you have. Thank you very much. I actually changed my name to Fantasy Doofus, so don't take everything I say 100%. But here we go with the video of tips that will help you be competitive in fantasy sports. Number one is to join a league that you like with rules that you agree with. So this goes without saying, but if you really, really dislike basketball or baseball or whatever, you probably shouldn't join a league that's fantasy in those sports. You should probably wait. Maybe if you really wanna try them out, you can, but chances are if you're not into the sport, you won't like it. Also, with the rules that you agree with, in baseball, you should probably go with categories that you like and that you agree with. I remember one year we did errors. No, we didn't do errors. We did grounding into double plays, and that was a rule we didn't like, so we changed it the next year. You also, if you work a lot, you might want to make sure that your league has a waiver wire. That way you have the opportunity to get players that you like. And if you work for an extreme amount, you should probably join a weekly league. Those are pretty easy to maintain, but they have it kind of sucks when your player gets injured midweek. My next tip is to lose with dignity and grace. I mean, don't be the guy who can't win and make excuses. Just if you lose, fantasy is a pretty lucky sport. So I mean, I really dislike when people don't understand how much luck is involved in it. But if you lose, just who cares? It's fantasy. I mean, it's just there for you to have fun. The next one is, if you really wanna be successful, you need to trade. You need to trade. And the easiest way to trade is to converse with your league mates. So if you want Miggy, you tell them you want Miggy, and the person should reply back with what player they want off your team. So if I say I want Miggy, and you tell me that you want Braun, hopefully we can make a trade where you get Miggy and you want Braun. Also, respect your league mates when they tell you that they don't want to trade that player. Alright? Don't send... a lot of people like to do this thing where they send lowball offers as like a starting point, but that kind of pisses people off. So instead of doing that, you should probably just open a line of communication through your league mates and just tell them who you want and who you're willing to give up. Hopefully you guys can get something there. Also, if you have a lot of pitching, you should... I tend to not go overboard. If I have a lot of pitching and I'm completely destroying people in those categories, a lot of people like to just stay with it and dominate pitching categories. I like to have a more balanced team. So if I have a lot of pitching, I'll try to definitely trade one or two pitchers away for a hitter. Also, know when to buy high and sell low, and know when to sell high and buy low. So if you think a player is breaking out at that time, you should probably try to buy him high, knowing. But it's up to you. I mean, if you really think that he's going to keep it up. My next one is, with trades and drafts, go with your gut. So as I was saying, if you think a player is going to keep it up for the rest of the year, you should probably buy him. And when you draft, you should probably go with your gut. I usually like going with my gut instead of what other people say, because I like being wrong more than blaming it on somebody else. So if Matthew Berry likes a guy and I choose him over the guy that I thought was going to be good, I don't like it. Just sucks, especially when the guy that you really wanted is the guy that blows up, right? That just completely sucks. Number 5 is know when it's time to make a move. So this is a common mistake with people. it happens in fantasy football and baseball. You start off the year slow and you're not really losing by much, but you're still losing. You got to understand that sometimes it's just time to make a move. Your team's just not as good as you think, even if you're losing by, you know, 10 points each week or whatever it is. You got to know when it's time to make a move. You just got to go with your gut then. It's better to make a move than to just, you know, not make a move and keep sucking. You got to understand when it's time to make a move. And you should this kind of counteracts that, but you should know when it's time to not make a move as well. If you get Miggy and he's not performing like Miggy, you got to understand that he's probably going to turn it around at one point or another. So you got to understand when it's time to make a move. At the same time, if you have Miggy and have deficiencies in, you know, a wide at catcher and second base, you might want to trade, you know, a Miggy, sell him low, and get a couple good pieces so that you can start winning. Where am I at? I'm at 6. Oh, this one goes without saying. You should like the fantasy sport that you're playing. I briefly talked about this earlier. You should, if you want to play a fantasy sport, you are gonna have a lot more fun if it's a sport you're into, and if it's a sport that you are kind of attracted to. Number 7, give players a second shot. So this is a huge one for me. I tend to sour on players, and I try not to, but it's just human nature. Who did that for me? I know there was somebody. I can't remember right now. Maybe I'll remember while I'm doing the video. But as I was saying in my rankings video, you have to go in with a blank slate. Last year, a player could have sucked, but this year, he could be older, wiser, know the game a little bit more, you know, have been taken under someone's wing, who knows. And you have to understand that those players are going to might be better. You never know. At the same time, understand that some players are just fluky. I remember having Chase Headley the year he hit 30 home runs. I mean, you just got to understand that he's probably not going to do that again. You have to let that go. Some people become enamored with their players, and that's no good either. So you have to know when to give players a second shot, and you also have to know when you should just, you know, players are just not going to repeat like they did the prior years. Number 8 is try your hardest to be there for the draft. This is another one that goes without saying, but try not to auto draft. The draft is an experience. It's when you're there with your friends or your league that you've been in for 10 years or whatnot. Try to be there for the draft. It's fun when people are there, and it's not fun when people aren't there. I mean, it's pretty easy without saying. Also, if you're very into the sport, try to have a live draft. Live drafts are the best. If you're not into that, then just do it online. But live drafts are probably where every league wants to head to. That should be the end point. Number 9. In head-to-head, it's all about making the playoffs. Anything can happen after that. So this is just what I was saying earlier about luck. It's head-to-head, so nothing before that week that you're playing with matters, right? The losses and all that matters. But if you make the playoffs, it's a clean slate, and if your team gets hot, you're going to win it. That's one thing that's good and bad about head-to-head, but it's also what makes it so entertaining. Oh, I forgot to say it. When you join a league you like with rules, if you like Roto or whatever else league, that should be what you after. And I'll make a video about what Roto is and how it differs from head-to-head. The last one is another one that goes without saying, but if you want to be even semi-competitive in your leagues, just be active, and it's not that hard. I mean, with smartphones, you pretty much, 10 seconds maybe, 30 seconds to pick up a player. In football and baseball, you should probably play the matchups if you want to have a real good time. And by playing the matchups, I mean like Lucas Duda last year, I think hit 280 against right-handers. So if you play him against right-hander, you're pretty much going to get a majority of his home runs, his average, and his OPS. And that's what I mean by playing the matchups. You have to know that a player is terrible against um, against right-handers or left-handers in the case of Duda, and not play him against those players. And you have to know that you're going to play him against the right-handers, and that's very easy to do because you can set your lineup in a week. I mean, a week in advance. So even if you're playing daily leagues, you can set your lineup for that whole week, and if someone gets injured, you can go back to setting your lineup. But it's not that hard. That's what you got to understand. It might seem hard, but if you're winning, anything is fun, right? If you're winning, you'll have fun in everything. And that's the last thing. You need to have fun with what you're doing. So those are my tips for fantasy, and I hope they help. And if you have anything else to say, leave it in the comments. I want to thank people for watching the videos. I have rankings coming up next along with mock drafts. Thank you very much for watching.